Good afternoon. Doing a new video. This one here is a Eurovan 2002. I'm sure it works for other years. And I'm starting kind of in the middle because I wasn't sure if I was going to do the job. But it's running rough and it feels like it's misfiring on all cylinders, but the misfire counter is showing no misfires on any cylinder, and it's doggy, it has no power. So I'm thinking that the timing has jumped. It has two chains, which you may see later in the video. I watched a tutorial about how the intermediate chain gear rounds out and allows the timing to jump. So I'm checking the timing first off. Like I said, it has a chain, and the chain is between the engine and transmission. But I have to take the valve cover off because you slide a plate in when it's on top dead or when the cams are in the right position. I can't say that that is top dead for the engine at this point, but you have to remove the valve cover, and in order to remove the valve cover you have to remove the intake, and that is the tricky part. First of all, it's a VR6. It's got 6 plugs real close together, and these 3 were easy to come out. Oh, this is the coils. Excuse the mess, but I'm a pig. But yes, they're very long. That's a regular size mount box, and it's twice as long as a mount box, if not more. These 3 hit the radiator crossover bracket. I won't call it, it is a core support because the rubber grommets go through it and the hood latches onto it. These are the rubber stoppers. You kind of have to pinch them together to get them out from the core support that goes all the way across, because these coils would come up and hit way far underneath. So I took that out, and I'm considering taking the radiator and the fans out. I haven't decided yet. I had the car lifted up, and I took the smog pump off. I took the alternator loose and laid it aside. Pretty blurry. You can see the gear of it, but there's a power steering hose and an AC hose, and it just kind of sat on those hoses, and I unplugged it because the intake bolts way down there. There's 12 number 6 Allens. There's also a number 5 Allen here holding the dipstick to it, and there was an air ball back here. I took it out. I left most of these vacuum hoses attached so far. They kind of look like they're going to come out all together, aside from one that is attached to this breather. The air tube right there. I took it out. Always take the dipstick out of any car with a plastic dipstick, or you'll break it right off every time. And right now, I hope you have swivel Allens, because you may not be able to do the job without them. These are 1/4 inch drive. My larger ones are 3/8, but I'm working on taking the air inlet and throttle body off. I have all the bolts that I can see out, so what I'm going to do next is there's a plastic piece that the coil wires are held by. There are number 5 Allens. I took one out. Underneath of that, and that's not one. And they're all the way around. I have all the bolts out, but it's still very sturdy. I'm thinking that inside, even though it's hollow, that there's some sort of bolts fixing it. Because you can see down in there, and you can see the top of the valve cover when you look down in there. But it's solid as a rock still. So I'm going to be working on splitting this. I don't want to. I don't know if it's right or not, but I don't see any other bolts. As I feared, there are no bolts inside. So if you make the same mistake as me, just don't throw away this Teflon gasket. It's right here, because I'm pretty sure they're hard to find. It's got little ones here, but that's not what's keeping it from coming up. I think I see it now. There's an Allen back in there, and I'm pretty sure that one and probably another one in another stupid place is keeping it from lifting up. The camera is upside down, but this is also a good opportunity to show you on these clips here. They're very common on Volkswagen and BMW, but I put some spray on it and make sure and give it a wiggle so it's loose. It looks like you're supposed to pinch it to open it, to spread it, but I found that breaks it every time. So I just get up on the part that's supposed to spread. I get underneath of it and take it loose that way. Because if you pinch it, it'll more than likely break and split. And then it doesn't stay on tight ever again. And they can be very stuck in there. That's why I put spray. But I don't pinch them anymore because they're hard from heat and brittle, and if you break the cage they don't clip on and stay on, so I never pinch them. I always use a pick of some kind. I would have used my 90 degree if I could find it. That gave me pretty good access to that bolt, and like I said, yes, there is another one back there underneath this wire loom. Quite genius. Das ist sehr gut, ja. There's that second one. That did the trick. I removed the 2 bolts from back behind. As you can see, the whole thing is loose. And also, there are 12 number 6 Allens on the middle to bottom side. You can't get to it from on top unless you take this radiator out. I still don't want to take the radiator out, but I'm going to have somebody help me to hold the radiator back to get this out of there because it's still snug, but I'd rather have somebody help me hold the radiator back than have someone help me take the radiator out. So, yep. Well, I'm gonna try taking the cooling fans out, and I had to pick it up to get to the connector, and there's also a T25 Torx there that I couldn't get to, and there's one underneath the radiator hose that I have to get to. Hopefully I don't have to take the hose off because I'm just stubborn. I don't want to drain the antifreeze. But here's the intake. Part of the problem is the fuel rail sticks out and it doesn't go straight up. The intake is catching on the fuel rail, so I'm needing more clearance than I could get. But you can see the alternator's laid off to the side. In this large area here is where the smog pump was. Here's one of its hoses. And there's other vacuum operated sensors and some hoses. You have to take this line off from up there. It's a, I think it's a number 5 Allen. The dipstick is number 5, but the other 12 intake manifold bolts are number 6 Allen. But I'm gonna try taking just the fans out before I take the radiator out. Hopefully it gives me enough clearance. This is kind of a side note, but one of the fan pins has a lot of corrosion on it, and that can sometimes cause a problem. So, just as a side note, I'll be putting some dielectric grease on that. I had to take the upper hose off and this little feed hose off in order to get the fan out, but that did the trick. You can see the fuel rail and the injectors, and of course now you can see the valve cover. And here's the intake manifold. That's the top, and here's the bottom section, and it wraps around and curls, and that was hooking on the fuel injector and rail assembly. So 12 bolts there and 2 bolts on each side in the back at the top, and voila. I know you're asking, why didn't you just take the radiator out? Well, it's because I'm checking the timing on a whim. I don't know if the timing is off. I'm trying to do as little as possible in the beginning so that I'm not wasting time later. The timing could be good. There's a tutorial on YouTube showing you the timing chains and the cog and the plate that you put in like a Ford 4-cylinder. But yeah, now I'll take the valve cover off and find out if it is misaligned on the timing. But I hope this video helps somebody, because I have 2 platforms on the internet for like Pro Demand and another one, and they don't have any information on these, and there's no information on the internet or anything. So yep, I hope this helps somebody, because I had no idea. If you like what you see, subscribe to my channel and wait for more interesting and difficult stuff. Thank you.